Hey everybody, this is Colin from Track Attack, and today we're at the Safe Auto Vault doing another paddock review. We are going to be looking at one of the fastest and baddest ways to haul your family around. This is the RS6 Avant. When you absolutely have to get your kids to soccer on time, this is the best and baddest way to do it. Let's go check out the front, because the first thing I want to talk about with this car is the bad part. So obviously it looks big, it looks wide, looks mean, the color kind of helps allude to that. But the thing is, to me, the front of this car kind of reminds me a little bit of Darth Vader. If you actually look at the front, it kind of looks like his big mouthpiece here. He's got the helmet. It looks a little kind of Star Wars-esque that way. But that's okay, because it does really lend to the whole badass look of this car. Because let's face it, there's not exactly a lot of station wagons in North America anymore. And for good reason, because traditionally, a station wagon kind of meant that you had given up on life and now you're one of those dads who's all about their family. You're not cool anymore. You don't have a sports car anymore. But this car changes that. This car lets you have both. Obviously, it's practical. You have lots of room on the interior. You got the trunk, all that good stuff you need to be practical, to haul around the kids, the family, the pets, all that stuff. But the really important thing about this car is the performance. This thing comes with almost 600 horsepower thanks to its twin-turbo V8. So now, speaking of performance, this car has it all. Not just the power, but if you look, it has a set of 22-inch wheels. Those are massive, and it's got tires that are so low profile that kind of looks like you took a black marker and drew around the edge of the rim here. But you need rails that big, because if you look at the size of the brakes, look at the size of those massive cross-drilled rotors. It's got a giant set of performance red calipers on there. These brakes are definitely used to haul this thing down. Now, frankly though, you kind of need brakes that big because this thing weighs 5,000 pounds. That's like, what, 20 Miatas? Now, interesting thing about the size of the brakes too. Yeah, the front brakes are big, but check out the size of these rear brakes. Not very often are you gonna see a set of rear brakes this big, especially on a station wagon of all things. Sure, on something like a Viper ACR, a Porsche GT3, you'd kind of expect brakes that big, not on a family hauler like this. In fact, these brakes are so big, they're actually bigger than most cars' front brakes. Now, staying on the performance side of things, let's actually look at the rear of the car, because again, it's got really aggressive styling. I like the rear bumper and kind of the kind of fake air diffuser look there. But really important thing is, check this out. Look at the exhaust tips. Those things are absolutely massive. I was joking, of course, with the owner of Safe Auto, who owns this car, and we were joking how you could fit an actual bagel in that exhaust tip. Unfortunately, we don't have a bagel today, but I think that will have to be a test for a future video. Now, of course, Audi wants to make sure that you don't lose your street cred as a cool dad. So, with that in mind, they also introduced this on the car. Now that's cool. Any good wagon, of course, has to have practicality, and this car has it. If you look at the back here, it's got a ton of cargo space. You can fit lots of groceries, you could haul stuff around, pets, even maybe the odd dead body. The other thing is too, if this is not enough space for you, it also has these split folding seats, so you can put them all the way down, half and half. Either way, it's very versatile, offers a lot of options for you. And of course, since this car is very luxurious and it has all the luxury amenities, and again, it has to remind you that you paid a lot of money for this, it has an electric sliding tonneau cover. And of course, for a starting price of $120,000, although I'm pretty sure this model costs more with all the options on it, you get luxury appointments such as soft closing doors, and speaking of doors, when you open the door, you are welcomed by this lovely Audi Sport logo projected on the ground before you climb into this gorgeous leather-clad interior. Okay, let's go inside and let's be bathed in luxury, shall we? Let's start with all of the surfaces. Wow, this thing's got like so much going on in here. First off, there's leather everywhere. Like this, the seats are just absolutely fantastic. They're so comfortable. The styling of them is just beautiful. You look at the red stitching here. And of course, for this price point, you get heated and cooled seats. But like, wow, they're so supportive. They're fantastic. I love how there's Alcantara in quite a few spots. Like for example, even on the shifter here, they have Alcantara. You got the wheel, of course, carbon fiber trim pieces on the door and the dash. I love the big glass looking giant flowing displays here. And even the way this one kind of ties in with the dash and flows over to the passenger side, it looks really, really slick, really classy. Definitely this car feels like it belongs in this price point. This interior is very, very well done. Another little thing I like too, which kind of ties the whole gray and red stitching sort of theme, is even the seat belts. So if you look, even the seat belt has the red trim on the sides. So again, Audi did a really good job at really making this interior very classy, but not overdone. So I think it's done just right. Now, as great as the leather and all the luxury is in this car, the real fun, the real part of the experience of ownership of this car comes with this, the push of a button. Let's start the show, shall we? Now, the other thing, of course, which adds to the experience, very small little subtle things, but again, it all adds up to a lot, is the touchscreens. Yes, they're big and they're high res and all the usual stuff you expect in this luxury segment, but this is really cool. When you actually use the touchscreen, it has haptic feedback. So as I push the buttons, the screen vibrates a bit, just like cell phones do. So you can always get that experience that when you touch the screen, you know it because it gives you that feedback. Again, a small thing, but it really adds to the whole experience and definitely reminds you that you dished out a lot of money on this car. So now another fun feature about this car is you can lower and raise the car with the airbag suspension on it. So right here in the settings on the haptic touchscreen, you push the raise and lower button and the car will go up and down to match the driving mode. Now, again, part of the cool factor is the performance we talked about. So let's pop the hood and take a peek at that 600 horsepower engine. All right, now let's pop the hood and take a peek at this engine. Okay, now that we lifted up this massive hood, here we have a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 making 591 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Does 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds and has a claimed top speed of 190 miles per hour. So when you really have to get your kids to soccer on time, this is the best choice to do it. This Audi RS6 Avant is a pretty amazing machine, I have to say. This is my first time actually getting really close and checking one out, and I was thoroughly impressed by it. I have to say that if you can afford the price tag, this is definitely one of the coolest ways to get around town, haul the kids, do grocery shopping, and at the same time, you can do it with more performance than the average sports car out there. So if I could afford this car, would I buy it? Normally I would say no, because I am not a fan of wagons at all. But this one, I have to say, actually checks all the boxes for me. Not only does it have all the practicality we talked about, it is a very, very cool car. There's no way anybody would ever fault you for driving around in one of these. So my opinion on this car is, I love it, and I would absolutely love to have one as a daily.